Welcome back, everyone, to the Crash the Pond podcast. It is a Tuesday, September 30th edition of the pod, which means September is about to be over. By the time most of you are listening, it'll be October. So happy October. Hashtag, is it October yet? The answer is yes.
So all the people that were doing hashtag wake me up when September ends can be woken up now?
Yeah, if you've been sleeping for 30 days, congratulations.
Yeah.
Also, I'm not sure why, but I thought there was a 31st in September. I'm today years old when I just figured that out. I don't know if that's something that changes, but...
It is not. The number of days in the month outside of February that does not change.
That's a bit distressing that I just realized that. I don't know.
Yeah.
September is just not really a noteworthy month to me. It's a bit of a bridge month, you know? It's like, especially with hockey, you feel like you're there, the games are starting up, but then it's like not really the real thing. Some games are good, others, like we saw against the Sharks, are just glorified AHL action. Even in junior hockey, which is the real games are back, a lot of the best players are in NHL training camps right now, so it's not really the full thing. So I'm ready for the regular season. Is that a bad take to start? I'm ready for real hockey.
I mean, we're 8 days away from the regular season for the Ducks.
Teemu Selanne days away.
There you go.
I couldn't think of another number 8 in Ducks history, so
I'm Sandis Ozolinsh.
There you go. So we're almost there. It's a lot of fun, but before we kind of get into those games and all of that, we have a lot to talk about today. This is a jam-packed episode. We've got comments from former players, training camp battles. But first and foremost, our long regional nightmare is over. Mason McTavish has signed a contract with the Ducks. Not any other team. He has signed with the Anaheim Ducks. 6 years, $7 million AAV. All the fuss, all the controversy, all the trade such and suches. It's over. We can now talk about a contract in hand. Mason McTavish is a Duck for the next 6 years. Your reaction?
My reaction is it's a good deal for both parties. I think we can nitpick maybe the term and why the Ducks wouldn't have wanted to get a little bit more bang for the buck with the term of that, but it probably was due to the AAV. But I mean, this is like all the other deals. This is like Zegras. This is like Drysdale. This goes into camp and then come out of it with the Ducks really not getting a discount. This is a perfectly fine deal for both sides. If you're looking at Evolving Hockey's contract projections, or I think AFP Analytics is fairly close to Evolving Hockey's, but I'm pulling it up right now. They have them at the projected cap hit at 6 years was 6.5. So it's $7 million. This is a little bit higher than that, but I do think that projection was probably a little bit low when you consider the rising cap, when you consider the Matthew Nyes deal that happened at 7.75. All of that kind of pushed this up where, to me, 6 years, $7 million AAV is probably about right from both the player and team perspective. It's probably exactly where this contract should have ended up at. And also noteworthy, in his 2 UFA years that are bought out by this, there's a modified no-trade clause of 15-team no-trade list.
Yep. So the Ducks buy all his remaining RFA years, and they get 2 UFA years. And that lands them at a $7 million cap hit. I think when you and I tried to predict it last time we spoke about this, I think I had said 6 years, maybe 7 or slightly under 7, and you were over 7.
I think I said 7.5, and I was very adamant that he was not going to sign for under 7.
Yeah, so you were high, I was low, and it's basically what the Ducks and McTavish did. They met in the middle, and yeah, this contract to me is neither. How should I put this? It's neither a great value for the Ducks, and it's not this huge steal for McTavish either. It's just kind of right in the middle. Like, McTavish didn't get the big term, he didn't get the big AAV, and the Ducks didn't get the huge discount either. Like, it just kind of, I think This is a classic contract outcome in any field where both sides are a little dissatisfied coming out of it. Both sides got a little bit of what they wanted. You know, the Ducks keeping the numbers down essentially was the reporting from Elliot Friedman, is that McTavish wanted more of everything, meaning more term, more AAV, and the Ducks wanted pretty much just less of everything, and they met in the middle on that, and that's how you get to 6x7. If it had been me, I would have just given him the 8 years because that deal could have aged. I mean, look at the. I mean, we haven't even made it 10 minutes in, but Kirill Kaprizov today signed for 17 mil. Like these new deals that are going to get signed in the new cap era are going to make the contracts that were signed under old assumptions look a lot more friendly. And I know McTavish's contract does line up with that timing, but if you got McTavish on 8x8 or 8x8.5, like that could age like a bargain potentially. So could this one. I mean, that's also possible. But I would have just bought more term if it would have been me.
Yeah, and the other kind of wrinkle to this that came out, I think Michael Marco, damn it. Marco, damn, I was way off there.
Rodwin Diamicio?
I guess.
Have you been watching Swiss hockey?
I guess. My apologies to Marco. But he had reported something similar to David Pagnotta. The Ducks coming into camp were at 5x5.5, and that the McTavish camp was at 8x8. Mm-hmm. And so I think kind of the next logical place to go to this is, why did it take this long? Because this is...
Well, that was McTavish's question too in his presser.
Yeah, which also is relevant. Like when McTavish was asked about it, which is a good question, he was kind of like a little bit frustrated about why it took that long. To paraphrase a little bit,
his facial expressions and demeanor in that interview were very like kind of almost begrudgingly answering questions. He made sure to note how grateful he was every single time. But you could see it on his face. There was just a little WTF going on behind those eyes.
Yeah, and so kind of coming into camp, like, I don't understand how that was the point the Ducks were at. So I'm just looking at the projection model, and 8x8 is actually lower than what a projection for McTavish would have been on an 8-year deal. It would have been at 8.494. So the McTavish camp was actually coming in under market on an 8-year deal, whereas the Ducks were coming in, a 5-year deal from Evolving Hockey was at 6.3. And you could argue that these are probably a little low, like I said, on the 6-year contract from Evolving Hockey, that their projections are maybe a little low. And so the Ducks were a cool $1 million underneath what fair market value would have been for McTavish on a 5-year deal. And so my question coming out of all of this is, yes, we can say fair deal, great. He's in camp. He can hit the ground running, hopefully not be behind the 8 ball. Hopefully we'll get to that a little bit more later. But I think the overall question is, this is now all 3 young, non-arbitration eligible RFAs have gone into camp. And how is the contract offer from the Ducks so below market where they have to go into camp with that? Like, why are we wasting everyone's time with that? And I think that is a very valid criticism of the Ducks, of Verbeek, of how he's handled this, of if you're going in that below market and not even close, what were you doing all summer? What were you doing all of last year?
Very much last summer.
and if you are going to be one that comes in and makes the quotes of, we're disappointed he's not here, so he's not here for the we're disappointed he's not here for the start of camp with Joel Quenneville, then don't be the one lowballing him on a deal. Like that, quite frankly, like that's the reality of it, is the Ducks were lowballing him. It seems like McTavish's camp was fully reasonable with their ask from it. And basically what this showed, and what the reporting from Marco also said, was that the Ducks really wanted to get him into camp. And
Friedman said that too, actually.
Yeah, like the Ducks realized that this could not drag on much longer. This is an important season, and they decided that they just needed to get the deal done. All of that reporting makes it sound like if McTavish was at 8x8 for $8 million on an 8-year deal, I think it's pretty safe to say that probably his benchmark on a 6-year deal was $7 million. Like, this was probably what McTavish's ask was, and that's an assumption from me completely. But the Ducks came up and met it. And I know there's been a lot of talk from Elliot Friedman, from other places about the Ducks held their line at $7 million. That this was their internal cap that Troy Terry's at, that Mikael Granlund's at, that Mason McTavish is at now. They held their line, and this is a shot and something going out for the Carlsons, for the Minchikov, for the Zellwegers of the world. And first off, Carlson's a completely different category than
tired
McTavish.
of hearing that one.
But regardless of that, the message that was sent to me on this and with the Zegras negotiation was that the Ducks are going to come in and lowball, and either you can take that, or if you sit out camp, they'll eventually come up to exactly where you need to be at. Like that is the lessons learned.
If you just call their bluff, you're basically going to get what you want or closer to it eventually.
Like that's the lessons learned. Like you can get more money out of Pat Verbeek if you wait into camp.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that it is interesting, this whole discussion of, internal cap. This sends a message to Leo Carlsson. I kind of reject that categorically. This whole that this has all of these that this situation has so many implications for next summer. Where, first off, we've already talked about it on this show. Nobody else seems to be talking about this, which is weird. I hate being we're talking about something nobody else is, playing that card, but like it is true. Nobody seems to realize or talk about how much cap space the Ducks have next summer. They have a ton of cap space. They're not under any bind to sign their RFAs next summer. So that's number one. Secondly, Leo Carlsson is a former second overall pick who is just of a higher tier, higher caliber than Mason McTavish. Like everyone knows he is the franchise player. He was a first line center in the NHL as a teenager. Like this is not a guy who is just in the same category as McTavish at all. He's not affected by this, just plainly. He's getting more than $7 million. Like this doesn't change anything for him. Then you have Cutter Gauthier. Cutter Gauthier, I think that he might be a candidate for a bridge depending how this season goes. Like I don't think it's cut and dry that he's even getting this big deal next summer. Then you have Lacombe, and Lacombe is the one where he has had the big season. It's quite possible he has another big season, or at least solid season this year. He could be a guy who gets into that $7 million plus territory. Like the cost for a number one defenseman in NHL now, like it's high, and he could command far more than $7 million potentially. So there you go. There you have Carlsson and Lacombe, but then like Minchikov and Zellweger, right? I mean, these guys just scream bridge deal to me. Unless maybe you have a Zellweger who's just like, oh, you know what, good Western Canadian kid. I'm just gonna take a long-term deal at a lower value just so I never have to think about this again. Like who knows? I don't think that's the way it's gonna go with Minchikov. I think that guy is gonna, and his agent are gonna fight it tooth and nail. All of this to say, I don't think that next summer is as ominous as people are making it out to be. The Ducks have cap space. Only two of the free agents, as of right now, really seem like threats to even be noteworthy contracts. So if we're going to talk about McTavish, sure, maybe the Ducks were thinking about next summer, but I think you can talk about it more in isolation than has been kind of the narrative coming out of this.
I also really want to not push back on you, but push back on this narrative of having to be tough to deal with because of these guys coming up.
Grinder?
Because in reality, and we'll get to the Zegras like part of this, or the Zegras article and everything with that, but Zegras did mention there how the contract negotiations really did mess with him mentally. And that being behind the eight ball going to the season, all of it kind of steamrolled snowballed from there and really kind of added up and really kind of put things on the wrong foot. And now you have Mason McTavish in that similar situation. You kind of hope that that's not the case for him and he's able to going to hit the ground running. But at the end of the day, like these negotiations in some ways can be about the relationship with these players.
I do think this is a bit different than Zegras because McTavish got the long-term deal. Like clearly the Ducks aren't this, the whole Zegras situation, that was a bridge deal. It was clear that there was a bit of a referendum going on about his game. McTavish, they committed to him.
That's fair point.
This is not a nothing. They gave him $42 million.
But I will say this. having to go that far into the into training camp to be able to get the contract that would be considered a fair value contract is not something that necessarily sets up a good relationship with this player moving forward. That's not one that's going to necessarily make him completely happy. If you do this in the offseason, if you kind of do this the right way, then that doesn't really linger too much. And so to me, this whole thought process of the Ducks having to grind them down and that type of stuff completely ignores the fact that this is a long-term relationship that you want to build with these players. And that this isn't just about, and I think we've talked about this on past episodes, but this isn't just about winning the deal. This is about building this relationship that is, for McTavish, going to be another 6 years. Like, it's possible McTavish is here longer than Verbeek.
I mean, it's probably likely.
Yeah.
I mean, what's the average GM tenure? What is
I
the
can
average
tell you.
GM tenure? Like,
I don't know. It's a good
probably,
question.
It's probably definitely higher than coaches.
5 years?
5 to 7 years, I would say.
I'd say 5. Five would be my guess.
He's already on what? This is year 4? Or
He came in 2022?
This is year 4. Yeah, because he came in at the spring of 22.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll see. Kind of flipping it a little bit, though.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing we haven't really talked about because we're so mired in the cap of it all is, I mean, what do you think of this deal just for McTavish as a player? Like, is this a guy that you feel good about committing these years and these dollars to? Because this is a player that, you know, we've been critical of at times on the podcast.
So, I think yes. I think overall, yes, we've been critical of him, but I think that overall, for the Ducks, I think you can be comfortable with this as a Ducks fan and this contract. I think in large part, maybe this is a bit of a cop-out, but with the rising cap, it's just going to become like not that much of a necessity. And I do hope that maybe in a new situation without Greg Cronin behind the bench, he's going to be put in a better spot to thrive where he's not kind of chasing guys in the defensive zone, is out of position, can get out and transition a little bit, and basically show that he's a bit more of an offensive player than a defensive player. I really hope this narrative around him, and this is something that we've talked about at length on McTavish, but it's almost like people get this warped idea that he has to be a two-way center. Yeah. Because he's over 200 pounds, was drafted.
He looks like a two-way center. You know, he's got a beard. He played for Team Canada.
Yeah.
He's big. Like, he just looks like he'd be that. Yeah.
But in reality, like, his best asset and the reason he was drafted 3rd overall is his offensive ability.
Yeah.
Like, and I think that focusing on that and not getting mired in this, like, yes, he does have to clean up the defensive side of his game. But I think really the offensive side is what he has to focus on and really get out there and flourishing with. So I really would love to see him be put on a line with maybe some guys that can help him out a bit defensively, take some of the load off of him. But to kind of get back to the original question about the contract is, I think it's going to end up fine. I think as he gets older, defensively, most guys, as they mature, they end up being in better spots, become less of liabilities in the defensive zone. And if he can really find a way to get the offensive flourish, realistically, for 6 years, $7 million, he just needs to be in the 60-point range, probably from a production side.
The bar is actually not that high for him to be a good value contract here.
Yeah, like realistically, right now for $7 million, he needs to produce maybe 60 some odd points. But 3 years from now, $7 million is going to be like a 40-point player.
Could look great. Well, at the practice today, they had him on a line with Cutter Gauthier and Mikael Granlund, and that to me screams exactly what you're saying, which is. Because you'll recall last year, remember when Greg Cronin had the quote of, he's a third-line center?
He's Matthew Tkachuk.
Or
not Matthew Tkachuk, Brady Tkachuk. There we go.
He referred to him as a third-line center. Not saying that that's what he was, but like that's kind of how we saw him in the lineup. And it's like, straight away here, first practice, Mason McTavish on a line with Cutter Gauthier and Mikael Granlund. Like, they are putting him, of course, we'll have to see if that line holds, but I would assume that it will. They're putting him with two good offensive players. And a guy in Cutter Gauthier who's a fast skater, who's someone who I think can cover for him defensively. And Granlund is not great statistically from a defensive standpoint, but he is a veteran. He is a guy who at least knows where to be, and I think that can help a McTavish. Like at the end of the day, with guys like with McTavish who have shown production, who have shown some intriguing offensive tools like his shot, like his playmaking, like his puck protection. I'm a little less worried about the defensive game because you can insulate for that. Like if his offensive game continues to grow, I'm not quite as concerned about the defense because hey, if he's putting up 70-ish points, you'll take that. You will definitely take that.
Yeah.
For his contract. Like that is kind of the beauty of this is there's not really a lose for the situation. I don't think.
And I'm trying to think back to last season because for the most part, Vetrano, Strome, Terry was the line. Then there was Killorn, Carlson,
Fabry, Gauthier, and McTavish was a thing.
Yeah,
for a long time.
Yeah, like Fabry being with him is not someone that's going to help him out defensively at all. So I think probably with Cutter Gauthier on his wing, like I think that's going to really put him in a good spot to have a guy to feed off of, and then Mikael Granlund can kind of also help out offensively, be a bit of a play driver also from that side of it. Defensively, like you said, to me.
It could go poorly.
It could be, but that really should just be the second line for this team.
Yeah,
and like I think that is where McTavish should end up. I think also $7 million, like just from the global concept of this, right? That is about right for I
love global concepts.
a second line center. Like that is probably a low value on a second line center at this point in the NHL.
It's right around there. Like that's why, like I'm saying, the bar here for McTavish to justify this contract and even exceed it from a value perspective is actually not very high.
Yeah.
I think he's gonna do it. I do have concerns about his game, particularly his skating. But if you put him on a line with a Gauthier with a Granlund type, that can be mitigated, and you still have the shot, you still have the playmaking, you still have all of that. Like I think this is a guy who can. Would you say that, like, let's kind of play this forward a little bit. When I'm going to say when, not if, when the Ducks are in the playoffs again, assuming that McTavish is the second line center, do you think that is a second line center on a Stanley Cup contending team?
Ooh,
like is that a cup contending 2C?
If he takes another step in his development, yes. If he is just who he is today, no.
Well, yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like, assuming he kind of gets anywhere close to his ceiling, he takes another step.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Do you agree?
I'm a little torn because I do think that there are aspects of his game that I think do fit that playoff mold. You know, the big body, the physicality. That's something you always hear about for the playoffs. You know, think Sam Bennett. Maybe there's a little bit of that to his game, but then. You know, there's a lot of skating in the playoffs, too. It's not like they're skating slow out there, and I do worry a little bit about his speed. You know, this is going to sound maybe a little... This isn't meant badly, but the best-case scenario for the Ducks, in their cup contending window, keep this in mind, to win a Stanley Cup, would be that Roger McQueen hits, of course, and that McTavish is your 3C.
Yes.
Because as a 2C... it's a little debatable whether you feel great about that. But if he's your 3C, then it's like, okay, we're in a really good spot here.
Yeah.
So
and not in the sense of Greg Cronin saying he's a third line center.
No. Like a matchup nightmare type of third line center.
Yeah. That's using the more traditional way. Greg Cronin was the more traditional way of a third line center, whereas you're using the more modern way of you need 3 offensive lines to be going.
Yeah, and what would be really cool too in this scenario is that, you know, again, in a hypothetical where the Ducks are in the playoffs and Roger McQueen is an NHL second-line center, I mean, you have 3 completely different looks. You have Carlson, who's the flash and dash, McQueen, the giraffe on skates, and then McTavish, the kind of bulldog. Like, you have 3 completely different matchups that you're throwing at the other team. So, anyway, getting a little far ahead here, but
yeah,
like this could be a really good move for the Ducks. It could end up being really great. And I think that's something that people should be excited about. And
on the flip side of that, let's say he does not take the step. Let's say he kind of stays as like a 50-point player, maybe takes a step back a little bit, right? Mm-hmm. This year, maybe you'd say he's not producing at the value that he should at $7 million a year. But the reason why, like from the Duck side of it, and quite frankly, like they should have given him 8 years at $8 million, is with where the cap is going, like $7 million is going to be about what a guy that's scoring about 40 to 50 points should be making.
Yeah.
So I think no matter what, like this is not even like a projection out for him being worth $7 million a year. it is just kind of like what he is producing now is what he is going to be worth over. Like if he stays this, he is worth $7 million in 2 years.
Which he won't.
Like,
he's going to get better.
Yeah.
He's still young.
and so that's just one thing because I think there are probably Ducks fans out there that have their, I mean, it's been a while since the Ducks have been good. And the last time the last time the Ducks were good, Ryan Getzlaf was the highest earner on this team, and Corey Perry was, and they were making $8 million a year.
I was going to ask, what was Getzlaf? I don't remember what Getzlaf's contract was.
I don't know what his last one was, but during their prime, they were both on 8x8s.
But didn't he retire on his big contract? Like he didn't sign another one after that.
He took a 1-year deal.
No, I think you're wrong.
No, he took a 1-year deal because remember he was going to get traded to Vegas, and then because he was a pending UFA, and there was the Seattle expansion draft.
You might be right.
I am 100% right. Not that I might be right.
Shit.
I am right.
Shit, you are right. I forgot he signed that.
Yeah, he signed a 1-year deal.
$3 million.
Yeah.
$3 million. You didn't remember that part though. So
no, I did not remember the $3 million. But was it 8x8 his prior deal? Or was it 8.5?
I don't know why I can't pull it up right now, but I will bring it up at some point.
I will get it in 1 second if I can. But regardless,
it was 8.25.
Damn.
So there you go. You were off.
But the reason I was bringing that up was that a lot of people will probably have this warped view that $8 million is a first line, 8.25 is a first line center that is probably a hockey Hall of Famer, Ryan Getzlaf. That is just not where the cap is now. You need to look at percentage of cap, and let's just see.
Probably a Hall of Famer. I heard that.
You heard what?
Probably a Hall of Famer, not absolutely a Hall of Famer.
I mean, he is a Hall of Famer to me. Boom. So percentage of cap for Ryan Getzlaf was 12.8%.
What is
Mason McTavish? I am trying to pull that up because I do not have it open right this second. So I said 12.2% for Getzlaf. Mason McTavish is 7.33%.
Yeah, and for $1 million less, basically.
Yeah.
Which
there just goes to show.
There you go. Okay. Well, we're almost 30 minutes into this show.
Yeah.
Time flies when you're talking puck, but I'm just going to throw out some quick notes from training camp, and then we'll talk about your favorite topic, my topic that I'm whatever about.
Okay.
But we'll talk a little bit about training camp. So there was a game over the weekend in Bakersfield, which we didn't get to see the first period of because the stream wouldn't work. Not a whole lot of notes from that game, except that Tyson Hines had himself a good game, had himself another good game against San Jose, and this was last night on Monday, and was getting pretty positive comments from Joel Quenneville in his presser after the Sharks game. And as of the practice on Monday, he was skating on a pairing with Ian Moore, and it kind of feels like he's getting a little bit of the inside track to the 7th defenseman spot, or at least just in contention, whereas Tristan Luneau and Stian Solberg remain on a pairing together. Where are you at on that race? Kind of how are you handicapping it?
I mean, I'm very curious how it pans out. I think if they are purely looking at a 7th defenseman just to sit on the bench, if they are locked in on Drew Hellison being in the lineup and they don't want to really rotate out, then I think Tyson Hines being the 7th defenseman is a fine choice, because maybe he comes in a pinch if someone gets hurt day of and you can't really get someone up in time. But he's a guy that has played 2 seasons in the AHL. There's probably not that much for him to learn in the AHL. He kind of is what he is at this point. And so I think if you were looking at the guys that are potentially in that group, Tristan Luneau, you could make that similar argument because of him torching the AHL, but you don't want him sitting. He's a higher end player. If he's your 7th defenseman, you want him rotating in the lineup. If this is a guy to just sit in the press box, you don't want Luneau there with the profile that he has. Ian Moore, he only played 2 pro games or 2 NHL games last year. Was it one or I don't know. It's slipping my mind now. But he has not played a full pro season. Getting a full year of AHL hockey under his belt is not a bad decision. So he is not someone that you really want in that 7th defenseman role to sit in the press box either, because you want him down. Steven Solberg, left-hand shot, same exact conversation there, wanting to get him more experience, more pro experience in North America. So all that leads me to, almost by process of elimination, that if Tyson Hines has impressed them, if they are comfortable with him coming in a pinch, if someone gets hurt day of, I think it's a fine choice, and it's probably the most logical choice from the roster building perspective.
Yeah, and I think that, Luneau, who was really good in the AHL last year, he can still stand to improve. Like, there's still areas of his game that he can clean up a little bit. So I don't think him going back to San Diego is this terrible situation. He's going to be on the first power play. He's going to be playing 20 plus minutes a night. Like, you'd rather that than him eating popcorn up in the press box with Derek and Patrick. Like, that's just not, sorry to those guys, but that's not what you want for Tristan Luneau. And is that even what happens? I don't know. Haven't been in that press box in a while. But Stian Solberg, same discussion, even more pronounced there, I would say, because he's just come over from Europe. Like, it's not like he got a ton of run in the AHL last year. Moore is definitely a bit of a tweener, where I think you could kind of argue it both sides. Where, yeah, he's he doesn't have a lot of pro experience, but he did play 4 years of college, which is kind of like the equivalent of an AHL year, basically. But yeah, I do think it is trending that way. And then really the only other note I have from the past two preseason games is that I think we are seeing more flashes from Beckett Seneca. In the Kings game in Bakersfield, I thought that he still made some really crummy turnovers. He also was getting muscled off the puck still, but he got a breakaway chance. And then in the game against the Sharks, granted, it was basically the San Jose Barracuda. There were some NHL defensemen in the lineup. I will say that. Like, there were some NHL defensemen. He had his flashes. I think that was the first time truly this camp where we've seen him make plays in open ice, dangle. He had a really nice move on Timothy Liljegren where he just kind of did the little quick handle under the stick and then through the legs to get inside. And I think he drew a penalty on the play. He had another nice kind of move later in the game. Now, granted, in that same game, there was also a play where he goes to fight for a loose puck with Luca Cagnoni, who, is not quite a foot shorter than him, but is pretty short. I think he's like generously listed at 5'9". Seneca just kind of got moved off the puck. Like, he didn't even get to the puck. Like, he got out muscled way too easily for the size difference there. And, Seneca's not like a string bean anymore. He's 200 plus pounds. And yes, the frame still has, more room to grow, but not what you want to see. So the flashes are there. I think that's very positive just to see him gaining a little confidence and to have those moments. But you also still see kind of what we've been seeing, which is that he is a guy who just needs more time. Yeah. Verbeek had a very long quote about it before the game over the weekend, which I'm not going to read out loud. But the gist of the long quote was he's not really an NHL player yet. Like, he's not a pro yet. And that's okay. Like we've been saying all along, that is okay. There was a clip of him at practice the other day getting coached up by Joel Quenneville. Had kind of a talk with him, pulled him aside. And I think that's great. Like, that's the benefit of him being here now is just getting that coaching, getting this experience, and then he can hit the ground running back in Oshawa.
Yeah. Now that McTavish is back, let me ask you this. Because the whole thought process, right, was that if McTavish is unsigned going into the season, that, okay, maybe that opens a spot in the top 9 for Beckett Seneca. Maybe he gets a few games. Maybe you can run him out there in those spots because the alternatives aren't necessarily higher skilled players, so you can kind of stomach it a bit just to get him those games, get him the experience, then do the whole 5-game scratch thing, send him to the AHL.
Yeah.
Now that Mason McTavish is back, there's not really a spot in the lineup for him anymore.
Are we sure?
Outside of the fourth line, which we sure they want him on the fourth line?
So I'll read you the lines from today, and I think this is opening night, basically. And I've said that a few times already this camp, but I think we're there. We're there.
You were convinced that Jan Mysak.
All right.
Was there a Patreon episode that you said that?
Let's not go there. Let's move on.
You were saying that those groups were confirmed.
No, I didn't go that far.
That this is the opening night roster.
That's not what I said. Okay, let me read the lines. Let's talk about something relevant here.
Okay.
Kreider, Carlson, Terry, line 1. I think that's a line. They've been together a lot this camp. I think that they're going to be together on opening night. Disagree?
I agree.
Okay. Gauthier, McTavish, Granlund. That to me also screams a real line because
Yep.
Granlund and Gauthier have been together, and now McTavish is back.
Yep, and that always seemed like the spot that McTavish would slot into with Granlund playing center in the practice lines for that.
And now Vetrano, Strome, Killorn as your third line. How do you feel about that? I feel like you haven't spoken on this.
I don't love Vetrano and Strome together at all.
As a third line, though? Like with Killorn there?
I would honestly rather swap Strome and Granlund.
See, but you're robbing Peter to pay Paul there. Like, I
100%. But I think Strome and Vetrano, we've seen that together so many years. And how many years is it just so poor defensively and just does not work? Now, granted, Granlund is not that great defensively either.
Yeah, it's the same problem.
It might be more of the same, but I guess just from my side of it, it's like I want to see something a little different here. I will say this. I think adding Killorn on with Strome and Vetrano might help defensively, but granted, they had Troy Terry with them, who is one of the better defensive forwards, and those two together did sink his defensive game a little bit. So,
but counterpoint, that was their first line last year.
Sure. Like,
this is a different situation.
Sure.
I mean, like that won't be getting first line deployment.
We'll see once the deployment happens. I agree that in essence it should not be, but we will see.
I mean, come on. Like I know what you're doing, and I know you don't fully believe it. Like Carlson, Terry, Kreider is line one.
I agree. I think that should be line one.
Yeah.
I've just been burned so many times now with thinking how these line distributions are going to go. I mean, it's minutes don't get distributed how they should be.
It's possible that the Strome line ends up being the defensive line.
Oh,
it's possible. Yeah. It's possible they end up being the matchup line.
I don't think so because one thing I noticed that
you're all over the place. I'm kind of giving you what you want, and now you're like saying no. I don't get it. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't matter. My whole thing is let's just see.
Okay, but I do think that this top nine is the top nine.
Yes.
Like, regardless of how you order it or how you move it around, these are the guys.
Yes.
Now the two fourth lines. I'm going to call them the two fourth lines. But I think it's not necessarily the case that we're at practice. So you have Johnston, Paling, Seneca. I think Paling is in the lineup. I think he's been good this preseason. They got him for a reason. I think they wanted him in that Zegras deal, so he's there. He's in. Johnston, I mean, the fact that he's with Paling is kind of intriguing to me, to say the least. And then on the fifth line, I'll just call it, you have Nestorenko, Washi, Colangelo. And yesterday in the presser, when Quenneville was asked about those guys, somebody asked him, like, hey, those guys look pretty good. He was very non-committal. He was very like, oh, yeah, well, we'll see kind of thing about those guys. So I'm wondering if any of those guys actually have an inside track right now to the lineup. And so all of this to say that I kind of wonder if maybe they just give, like, maybe we're writing off too early that Seneca might not get a game or two.
I mean, you could be 100% right. Like, there could be Seneca on the fourth line.
It's weird.
I think it would be a waste. I think it would be a waste of time.
I think so too. For a game or two, it's not the end of the world. But I think that when the dust settles, because like it or not, Seneca is not going to be here much longer, whether it's a game or two or whatever. Even let's just do the 9 games. You have Johnston and Paling who are on this team. I know you don't like hearing that.
Oh, no, I know Johnston is on the team. He should not be playing, but yeah.
And then if they go 14 forwards, I do think Colangelo is on the team. Doesn't seem clear-cut, but I think he is.
Yeah.
If they go 14 forwards, this is basically like your guys minus Seneca, that forward group. Now, if they go 13 forwards, I'm curious who they would cut out of that picture. Washi? Is Washi the odd man out?
I'm trying to right now see
Nestorenko,
who has waiver exemption right now. That is kind of what I want to see. I would assume Washi has waiver exemption unless age. Yeah, he's waiver exempt. Nikita Nestorenko is not waiver exempt.
None of these guys are getting claimed though.
Probably not, but I mean,
I feel like the waiver thing gets a little hyped up this time of year. Like
Sure.
when's the last time a team actually lost a noteworthy player to waivers?
Ducks got James Reimer last year.
That doesn't count.
Probably the last one, and hindsight 2020, not notable really at all with how it played out. But
Well,
Christian
Skater.
Christian Juice.
They got him in a trade.
No, the Ducks lost him on waivers
Oh, that's right.
at
Yeah,
the beginning
again.
of the year. Sure, but just saying.
Okay. Anyway,
Brett Leeson, was that a
Eh.
waiver or a trade?
they did get him on waivers, but that was
Yeah.
in season. That wasn't at training camp.
I thought that was at camp.
I'm pretty sure it was in season.
Uh-oh.
Is that you or me?
That's me. It will stop in a minute.
Okay.
All right, it stopped.
Okay, I'm gonna fly through the blue line here. Lacombe Gudis is now pairing it at practice, so they've split up Hellison and Lacombe. How do you feel about that?
I don't love it.
I think in some ways, though, you kind of need someone good next to Gudis.
Yeah, I think the issue though with it is that, while I don't disagree, this means that Radko Gudas is going to play 20 plus minutes a night. I would much prefer Drew Hellison be in that role, even if I'm not the biggest fan of Drew Hellison, just because I'm not the biggest fan of Radko Gudas. I'd take Hellison over Gudas.
I think there's a world where Gudis bounces back this season
Sure.
and is fine. Is what Trouba was last year.
Yeah. I would rather have Drew Hellison in that role next to Jackson Lacombe. I think Hellison has a bit more offensive upside. I think he skates better. I think he's going to be able to handle the defensive responsibilities with high-end players coming at him better than Radko Gudas is with how his knee is and just with age coming for him. I think that Drew Hellison is more well-equipped for that than Radko Gudas.
I just think that Gudis being the captain, being the veteran, is just going to get that inside track to big minutes.
I think that I completely know why this is happening. Like, I'm not disputing what
and that
you're
was
saying
also
there.
a pairing for most of last year.
Yeah.
And then you have Zellweger Trouba, which, I mean, it just makes sense.
Yeah, it
Puck
is what
moving
it is.
guy with stay-at-home guy. We'll leave it at that. I think the third pairing is where my intrigue begins. Minchikov and Hellison. To me, it's a little noteworthy that Minchikov is the one that's not with either of the veterans and that he's with Hellison. Like, that is clearly the third pairing to me. And I'm not saying he's had a bad camp. I'm not saying that. But I am saying that it does feel like he's been passed over a little bit in the pecking order for now, just in the lineup. Like, I feel like Zellweger's and certainly Lacombe's stock is a bit higher than his right now. Agree or disagree?
Lacombe for sure. Zellweger, I think it just depends on the day of the week. I think internally, probably within the organization, you're right. Just with how this organization is, I think they probably like that Zellweger was more so someone that just with how last year was going.
I mean, he looks like a fire hydrant now.
Well,
I don't think he can gain any more size.
Yeah.
The guy's gonna pop.
But I'm just talking about from the personality perspective. It sounds like Minchikov was more so vocal about the situation last year, whereas Zellweger more so is like, I'm going to work through it. And that's probably what Verbeek likes. So I think within the organization, and then also adding in kind of what you said about Zellweger and the weight he's put on, it would not shock me that the organization views Zellweger higher than they view Minchikov right now.
Well, also just the fact that he's playing with Trouba, because I assume Trouba is going to be more relied upon than Hellison, right?
Yeah, and it's also going to be interesting to see what they do with the PK once they get there, because are they just going to throw out Hellison with Trouba? Are they going to do two righties on the PK as a result of that? Or is Zellweger or Minchikov going to get PK time?
I don't think so.
I think
Minchikov right now is not on the power play. He's not on the penalty kill. He's on the third pairing. Like, he has fallen in the pecking order. He just has. And not saying that this is anything about his long-term projection, but this is where he's at right now. And it kind of, to me, this is all reflective of how the team views him. And he wasn't good last year. He was quite poor. Now, does that mean it was all his fault? No, but something to make a note of. And then the other two notes that I have are Lucas Dostal's day-to-day.
Yep.
Supposedly a short-term thing, according to... I don't want to start calling him Q yet. That's just a little too...
Nope.
A little too soon to be thrown out the Q. I'm not buddies with him.
Nope. Quenneville.
According to Joel Quenneville, supposedly very short term, but this is kind of a phantom thing that just popped up. And those are always the ones you're maybe the most concerned about.
Yep.
The ones where you can't really tell what happened. So we'll see. I guess in some ways this will help resolve the Mrazek versus Huso question, or maybe it'll just
so weird that's going to be that could be the pairing they're going into the season with.
I mean, again, what does short term mean? Does it mean a week?
Yeah.
Does it mean a couple days? What exactly? I mean, I think that there are a lot of guys right now around the league, like just kind of looking around at injuries. There are a lot of guys who seem to be just getting held out, like Zegras had a day off from camp for the Flyers. Celebrini has been held off. Like, maybe those guys are actually hurt, but then they do end up coming back to skate, and maybe that's just what's happening with Dostal. So we shall see. And then the other note I had, the final thing, was the penalty kill. So listening to the broadcast yesterday, we finally got Brian Hayward and John Allers. And I'll say this. We've made fun of those guys a lot over the years, but after getting the broadcast that we did to start this preseason with Emerson Edom and Steve Carroll, I'll just say their names. Welcome sight, a welcome sound to have Hazy and Allers back on the screen. I'll just say that and leave it at that. Don't need to be mean-spirited.
I have my issues with them as broadcasters, but they are definitely a step up from what we were dealing with. So it was nice to hear them, and nice to see Ali Lozov on a broadcast also.
That too. Also, I will say, even if we get annoyed with some of their homerisms and whatnot, their bromance is kind of funny.
Oh, yeah.
Like, they were making fun of each other's weight yesterday, and that's funny. That's funny to me.
Yeah. It feels like, I think they should lean into that a bit more. Like, this is my view of a broadcast. I think and I've said this 20 times at least on this show. I think a broadcast either has to be informative or entertaining. Mm-hmm. It has to be one of those two things. And if you are going over the top on homerism and things like that, you're not being informative, you're misleading people, and you're not necessarily being entertaining because you're just rage baiting at that point. But if you're out there and you are just like having fun, making a laugh, like having a laugh with your guy, like creating an entertaining environment.
Yeah. It feels like you're watching the game with your buddies, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like I think they should lean into that a little bit more.
Agreed. But the nice thing though about having them on the broadcast is that we know how plugged in they are with the team. So you kind of get those little tidbits from them about what they've been hearing from the coaches and whatnot. And they did talk about this whole third pairing situation. And at least just from Hayward's comments, Tyson Hines does maybe sound like the guy. We'll see. But the money quote is that Hayward said that Quenneville said that he will have Carlson more on the penalty kill this year because the quote from Quenneville is, "I want my best players on the ice more." Like, that's what you've been dying for, Jake, for years now.
It is.
Does this change your mind?
No. Overall about Quenneville, no.
I'm putting you in a bad spot there.
You're 100% are putting me in a bad spot. But no, my opinion hasn't changed on Quenneville. I've long said that my issues with Quenneville and the hiring of Quenneville
off ice
have to do completely off ice.
Yeah.
On ice is kind of a wait and see.
But that's a good sign.
Like, that is something that you want to hear from them. Doesn't really change my view of the hiring of him. Doesn't.
Yeah. We know.
Yeah.
I'm trying to save you here from like digging a hole.
Well, you know. But yes, also of note that I thought was interesting on the penalty kill, Frank Vetrano served the extra penalty when there was like an instigator or something like that.
Bench minor.
There was something like that where Frank Vetrano was the one that went in and served it. He was a stalwart on the penalty kill in the past.
Stalwart is surely one way to put it, but yes.
He was one of the people that was constantly being thrown over the boards. He was
a guy.
Yeah. And I think if he's the one that's there serving the penalty, that kind of tells you that they don't really view him as a penalty killer.
I think that's a logical conclusion. Yeah.
It's preseason, so
maybe they just don't want him blocking shots or something. But
yeah. But
I mean, but then if you apply that logic, then you wouldn't want Leo Carlson blocking shots either.
And so to me, this is a good sign with how they're going to be running the penalty kill.
Yeah, I think there's been a lot made of the penalty kill being perfect up until last night, which is ironic given the quality of opponent. I'll just say this because we're probably going to get asked about it. I'm not putting a lot of stock into systems and whatnot in preseason because it's just so hard to keep track of with the different players, different quality of competition. Uh, but I do like the philosophy that they're bringing with having more offensive guys on the penalty kill. Okay, final news item before we get into questions. I'll let you have the floor here a little bit, but there was an article that dropped today from ESPN, Greg Wyshynski writing it, and the title is pretty funny because it's using a I think Gen Z-ism, but post Ducks crash out, how Trevor Zegras can recapture the magic with the Flyers. And this was an article going into Zegras's plight and his struggles, going through the trade rumors, going through the contract negotiations with the Ducks. And he was very candid. He really went into how it affected him, how it affected him dealing with trade rumors, how it affected him being in a situation where he felt like the team didn't necessarily believe in him. And he really, he put onto paper and he said out loud the things that we've kind of been saying on this podcast for years. And he basically confirmed all of them, that he didn't feel like the team believed in him. He didn't feel good the last few years. And I don't think he was saying any of this, by the way, to run from accountability or to blame everyone. I think he was asked about it, first of all. This article is the angle of the article. And he answered the bell. He told them what happened. And, maybe you could argue he should have said some more platitudes about, oh, well, it's still on me to be better, blah, blah. But kind of having, we have actually interviewed Trevor Zegras once a long time ago. But
that was a while ago. I forgot about that.
Having kind of seen him, what he's like, watched a lot of his interviews, seen him on TV, I think he's just a guy who wears it on his sleeve. Like, he says what he thinks. And I don't think that any of this for him, he knows he has to be better, right? Like, that doesn't need to be said for me with Trevor Zegras. I know that he knows and he believes, that is not who I am. That is not my best. So that's just a quick intro of the article. Take it however you want.
Yeah, I think you kind of put it perfectly that this article, I think the importance of this article is you and I have talked about the whole Zegras situation for 2.5 years now.
At least, if you include Akins into that, it goes back further. Since he arrived, there's always been something.
There are probably going to be people that are listening to this that don't want us to discuss Zegras anymore. He's not a Duck, but I think it's relevant to discuss.
It's going to come back up.
It's going to come back up, but it's relevant to discuss because what this article has essentially done is confirm exactly what you and I have said over the past 2.5 years with this team, dating back to the contract extension and that whole thing. Because that's kind of the point of where this all starts for him based upon this article is the contract stuff was the beginning of it, and then he comes in with new coach behind the 8 ball. Sound familiar? Get off to a slow start. They combine that with the contract and the trade rumors. This is just his quotes. It's not fun. But he said I've got to keep playing. And then he mentions he's like they moved him over here, moved him over there, moving over here again, and they're saying he's doing everything they want him to do, but then they're kind of putting him all over the place. And it just feels like the Ducks organization did not know what to do with him, whether it was Greg Cronin, whether it was Pat Verbeek. They did not know what type of player he was. They did not know how to evaluate him properly.
I'll push back on that, but continue.
Or they did not like how he was.
Well, that's what, yeah. They were trying to change what he was.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
But also on the flip side, not on the flip side, but also from removing the analysis side of it, Pat Verbeek is the manager of this team. And I think that is an important distinction to make here, that he is the general manager. That is not just from the contract perspective, roster move perspective. He is the person that manages these players. And for a player to come out, a young player to come out and say that he did not feel like the team believed in him, that is a damning thing to happen for a general manager of this team. And if he's saying that right now, I wonder what was said to him behind closed doors. Pat Verbeek with the trade rumors, you mentioned this a bunch, and I kind of pushed back at the time, but he very easily could have just come out and said, "No, we are not trading Trevor Zegras. We view him as a central piece of this organization." Could have made a statement like that to really try to mend this, to be a manager of this team, manage the personalities, manage the people. And instead he let it sit in limbo. And Zegras mentions that being out there, being on trade boards did not help him. It made things worse. You think about it, it built up anxiety. And he has this quote, it almost felt like you were alone when they didn't believe in you.
Yeah.
And that is on Pat Verbeek. That is on a manager. And I implore everyone out there listening to this to really think about your own situations. Remove the hockey side of this.
Well, yeah, like don't take off your like life experience hat when evaluating this. This is a workplace discussion.
And everyone has jumped workplaces. Everyone has been in a good workplace and a bad workplace. You all know when you've been in a bad workplace, you don't produce your best work, quite frankly. You overthink things, you second guess things, you don't put out the best product, and it just doesn't end up working out well. And I've said I've been in a bad work environment where that happened to me also. And I was left feeling that way. And I've also been in really good work environments. I'm in one now where you go to work and you're stoked, you're excited, you want to put in your best effort every single day. And that is done by the person managing you in creating that environment and doing that for you and making you feel like they believe in you and you matter for them. And so that is where this is on Greg Cronin. This is on Pat Verbeek as managers of these players. And Greg Cronin is no longer here with the organization. Pat Verbeek still is. And so I do think that even though this is about Zegras and what happened in the past, I think this is very damning on Pat Verbeek.
It's a cautionary tale
of what's going to come. And I don't think this is going to impact the Leo Carlsons. I think you're right with what you said earlier, that McTavish got his bag. He got a long-term deal. Like, realistically, it's probably not going to impact him.
But Minchikov?
But you have Minchikov. You have Zellweger. Like, this is a very foreboding tale for those two for me. And I'm just really not a fan of kind of how this was all handled by the Ducks organization with what was put out there by Zegras in this situation, like with how they handled the Zegras situation. And it could have been handled better. And it really falls on the Ducks in that situation. And then removing that part of this whole thing. There's also the kind of piece in here from Daniel Briere that basically the Ducks weren't really ready to part with him, and it wasn't until Zegras' production had dipped to a level where he finally became available. If Pat Verbeek was questioning whether he thought Trevor Zegras was a long-term piece for this, now we're talking about removing the man management, looking at the roster management side of it. Moving him this past summer instead of 2 summers ago was a mistake. If he had viewed Zegras as not being that guy for them, if he had started really putting him out there, he should have moved him then when the value was high. And this is what we're seeing from Verbeek a little bit here, is he kind of tries to he wants to try to have his cake and eat it too a little bit with these situations. And by doing that, he just waits too long where he's not able to capitalize and then sells broken goods for pennies on the dollars.
We saw it with Gibson. It was the same thing.
Yeah.
He waited so long that his asking price just had to go down. Same with Zegras. I mean that's the whole thing with this, is that if it seems that from day one Verbeek was just not a fan of Zegras' game, which is fine, whatever. Like, I think he's wrong about that, but if you really are that much of not a believer, then look to trade him. Look to move him. I mean, get it done.
Can I add something to that?
Yeah.
That's on the hiring committee that also hired Pat Verbeek.
Well, Paul Kariya, Teemu Selanne, I mean, who...
Niedermeyer, Aaron Tietz.
Yeah.
Why are you hiring a general manager that does not view your star player at the time coming off a 60-point season as a long-term piece for the team?
Well, I do think that a GM doesn't necessarily have to want... this is the thing, though. So I'll push back on you while also agreeing with you. I think that if I'm interviewing for a GM job, I can tell you, I don't think that to get the job, I should have to love everything about your roster, but I should have a plan for everything on your roster.
Yes.
So if there's a guy that I don't like, there should be a plan to turn him into something that's kind of like what they did with Drysdale in a way, right? Turn that draft capital into something that you want. And yeah, of course you need to have the right deal, but it's a fickle thing. And we saw what happened with Zegras. He got hurt, production dipped, struggled offensively, didn't get along with the new coach, all of that, and boom, production and value has just completely zapped. That's the nature of the beast, and that's why like we talk about this a lot with prospects. But it's like there is a Goldilocks zone of trading these guys when they still have that name brand recognition, and the Ducks just completely missed that window with Zegras. And I don't think they missed it because they were waiting for him to turn it around or because they believed in him. They just straight up missed it.
It's quite clear that that Zegras did not seem to think that the Ducks believed in him. So
Yeah.
all of this to say, it's a bummer he's gone. It's a bummer that he was not put in a position to thrive. He is one of the most enjoyable players that I think we've covered on this podcast.
Yeah.
I think through shitty times, like it was a lot of fun to watch games that Trevor Zegras was playing.
Yeah, I mean,
and doing
think
special
back
things.
to the pandemic season where there's nobody in the stands. It's a weird season, and boom, you have Trevor Zegras pulling off Michigans in an empty Bell Center and doing all these crazy things and playing good hockey. Like that was cool, but we should talk about the performance aspect of this because there's no mincing words. Trevor Zegras is bad the last 2 years. Like, just globally, yes, context, but he was bad. Like he wasn't good defensively.
Sure.
The offense plummeted. That being said, if you watched him closely, there were still all the signs of a solid player. Like Lucas Dostal was actually quoted in this article, and he talked about how Zegras' 200-foot game looked a lot better last year. And that has been said by a lot of different people, including Pat Verbeek. And even watching him closely last year, you could still see the playmaking. Like there were all the breadcrumbs of the player that he was when he came into the league. It just never really got off the ground the last 2 years. Like 2 bad years, it can happen to anyone. It's just for him, the timing of it all, having it be his 3rd and 4th season, that's where perception shifts. Now, this year will be very telling in Philadelphia, playing with Matvei Michkov, but I say he does it. I say that he reminds everybody who he is.
And I think that
I love the first quote in the article where he gets asked, about the cover that he was on, NHL 23, the video game cover. And he gets asked, what do you see when you look at that cover today? And he says, the same guy. I'm still the same guy. And it's like, yeah, he's brought back the number 46. He's brought back the long hair, the flow. Let's see it. I want to see a vintage Trevor Zegras season.
if he has a vintage season, there's going to be a lot of egg on Pat Verbeek's face for this entire article.
Yeah, and I will say this too. If you're a fan of the team and you're kind of miffed by Zegras saying all this stuff, like, I get it. In some ways, it's like you don't want to hear this. You don't want to hear, and you might think the player's making excuses, this and that, and maybe there is a touch of that, right? Maybe there is a touch of that. Maybe Zegras, by all accounts, is a large personality, right? Like, we do have to account for that somewhat. But I think that in sports, we constantly talk about how we want the athletes to be more open, especially in hockey. We want them to show their personality. It's like, this is what we're asking for. This is that. And so you can't have it both ways. And I think that it's good that players come out and speak their truth. Of course, at the risk of pushback, but I applaud Zegras. I applaud Zegras for having the courage to come out and say this, because he's going to get shat on in the comments on Instagram and whatever.
Oh.
This is not going to go over well for him with a lot of people, probably
Sure.
including the Ducks front office, by the way.
Yeah.
But I applaud him because it takes a little courage to just be like, yeah, this is what happened,
Yeah.
And I really don't think there's anything more to it than that. I don't think this is him trying to make anything more of it than what it is.
No, I am very curious what his reception is going to be like after this at Honda Center. I think he's still going to get cheered. I don't think. It's gonna be
for sure,
booze.
by the fans.
Like,
yeah. I think
Instagram,
I think-
Instagram hockey fans, different story.
My suggestion to Zegras, though, reading these quotes, is like, stay off social media.
Yeah,
Because he was talking about he saw the trade rumors every day, and it's like, well, the trade rumors aren't floating in the air. They're not floating in the air at Great Park Ice. Like, they are on your phone, and easier said than done, but try to stay off that if you can. Okay. Positive discussion. Positive, not too negative.
Yep. I thought that was a great discussion about it and worth talking about. All
Yeah.
right, want to get into questions?
Yeah.
Okay. We're going to start with our Patreon exclusive Discord. Go to patreon.com/crashpond, where if you subscribe at the $2 tier, you get access to this. I am very much jumping all over my words, but I've been up for way too long today, so we'll see how I do with this. Endiamon said, who are your guys' favorite players that do not play for a team you root for?
Have we done this before?
No, we have not, but that is easily for me right now, Trevor Zegras.
Yeah, I'll say
technically counts.
I'll say Trevor Zegras. Well, I also didn't root for the Ducks, so he would have still been a valid answer. This is a really cheap answer. Okay, this is, again, two very cheap answers, but I don't care. Number one, I will never get tired of watching this guy until he retires. Sidney Crosby.
Sure.
Like he's a very unique player. And then number two, again, cheap answer, a guy that plays around my neck of the woods, Macklin Celebrini. Plays a lot like Sidney Crosby, so those are the two I enjoy watching a lot.
Okay. Dr. Plantwrench said, what's your reaction to Micah McCurdy's estimate the Ducks end up with 68 points and be the second worst team in the NHL?
I don't really care too much about projections.
I think projection models are fun to look at. I think they're interesting to see kind of where different models are putting teams. I don't take them as gospel. I think what that tells me, though, is I don't think they'll end up at 68 points. I think it's possible, but it's the low end of things for me if all things kind of go wrong. I think in some ways Micah attempts to account for coaching within there, but it is really hard with Joel Quenneville not having been in the league of how do you account for the coaching aspect of that. And so the Ducks were really bad last year. Like removing the where they ended up standing points wise, like this was they were like 30th, right, in expected goals for percentage.
32nd.
Oh, they were. They did end up 32nd, and I forgot about that.
They just really sucked.
Yeah, they were bad. And so I think that's largely where that's coming from. And then, I mean, yes, I think his model may struggle to add internal improvement, so maybe that's where that part is adding to it. But I mean, another year older, they added Chris Kreider, who was also rough last year, so it's not as if that's going to add value. So it's possible. I don't think it's likely.
These models are based on priors. The Ducks' priors are really bad. Therefore, the output is going to be really bad. I just don't think that any of these models are really good at teams to project teams like the Ducks. Because I think, if it was a veteran team, you could kind of safely say, okay, based on last year, this is how they'll be. But the Ducks have so many young guys, and the coaching is so different that I do think it makes it harder to project what they'll be. Because young guys can totally change year over year. Look at Jackson Lacombe last year. What projection model would have told you that last year? None. Yeah. So I'm not saying they're useless. I'm just saying for certain cases, it's a little less useful.
All right. Logan said, what are the main differences between last year's power play and Jay Woodcroft's power play this season? Or this preseason?
Can't tell you. I will tell you when 2 points are on the line.
Rumham said, who has the better breakout season, Leo, Cutter, or Mason? Leo.
What would count as let's just go through these three guys. What would count as a breakout season for each points-wise?
Leo Carlson, I think he was in the 40s last. 60 plus.
Yeah.
Cutter would be maybe 30 goals.
So we're talking goals, not points for him.
For Cutter, I think goals is a large
He'll never be I don't think he'll ever be a high assist guy, personally.
No. Mason, 70 points?
I think 60. If he got to 60 this year, I think that would count as breakout.
I think Leo could surpass those two, though. I think just Leo's a higher end. Like Leo's higher end.
He's the better player.
Well, that's why I said who has the better breakout season. I think it's Leo.
Oh, yeah. To answer the actual question, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, Leo.
Dr. Plantwrench said, which one do you believe is more likely to continue in the regular season? Terrible PP, power play, or immaculate penalty kill?
Neither.
Yeah. What? I guess you have to pick.
Which one is more likely?
Terrible power play, just because it's this team, I guess.
Well, also it's like, which one is more likely to continue? You know what? I'll say immaculate PK, because I think the power play is going to be significantly better than what's been shown.
I agree. I just don't necessarily think that the penalty
But I don't
kill
think the
can be,
PK
like,
part is
high.
likely either.
Yeah, that's the thing, is pick which one. Logan said, which young defenseman currently on the roster has the most to lose from going back to the AHL and or the most to gain from staying with the Ducks?
So does this count Solberg and Luneau?
Yes. Most to lose from going back to the AHL.
I don't think any of them do, really. But
Hines, I guess, if you're going to say that, like, that's kind of the logic behind keeping him up.
yeah.
And same thing, most
does
to
he
gain.
lose anything, though, if he goes
No.
to the AHL? Yeah.
No.
The most to gain from staying with the Ducks, I think probably Hines. I mean, Hines might be the answer for both because Hines, I don't think that Solberg and Luneau are really going to benefit from eating popcorn with Derek and Patrick in the press box, or having hot dogs with Noel and Zach. So it just makes sense to go with Hines here.
All right. Let's see.
You like that visual, by the way?
Yeah. Wow. OG Leo Carlson Truther said the McTavish news broke literally as I was walking into Oga's Cantina in Star Wars Land on Saturday. I promptly had a celebratory cocktail followed by a beer inside. Was there a better place for me to be at that time? Nope. Happiest place on earth.
There you go.
Yep. D Frenzy said, what are both your thoughts on the Trevor Zegras article written by Greg Wyshynski? So we've kind of gone over that, but under on him scoring 60 points this year.
You know what? I'm going over. I've seen enough clips now of him and Michkov passing in games and in practice, and I think it's going to be electric.
Will he be the most improved player? There's no award for in the NHL like there is in the NBA, though.
Would Jackson Lacombe have won that last year if that was an award?
Yes.
I think he would have, just by default.
Yeah.
I think so. I mean, it's kind of hard with Zegras because I feel like it's him getting back to what he was.
Yeah.
More so than improving.
Yep. The Puff said, did Pat Verbeek pull off both the best value trade with Cutter and the worst value trade with Zegras?
So I kind of disagree if we're just talking value on paper, because yes, they got Cutter, but they did have to give up Drysdale. Like, that's not and they added a second round pick, right? Like they paid fair value to get Cutter Gauthier. Now, in terms of the actual outcome of the trade, yeah, insane value, for sure. So yes, that would be his best value trade, and then Zegras is for sure the worst value trade. So correct to the Puff.
Captain Quack said, who do you think has a better chance of making the roster, Tyson Hines or Tim Washy?
Wow, we're really asking the serious, hard-hitting
questions here.
I'll say Hines because I think more competition for Washy / waivers. Not that I think that really matters, but that's my tiebreaker.
I thought you were very anti-waivers.
I just think it gets talked about so much this time of year, and it's like, look, every team has guys who all their fans think are great, but are actually just AHLers, and those guys never get claimed on waivers. Enough.
Yep, I would agree with that. Let's see. All right, we're going to hit up questions from Twitch and YouTube. So for those of you listening on your favorite podcast services, you can find us each and every time we go live at twitch.tv/crashbond, where if you have Amazon Prime, you get one free Twitch Prime gaming sub each and every month. Helps out more than you can imagine. You can be just like Ballistic, who subscribed to us for the first time.
Shout out.
Or if you're listening to this and you have a YouTube account, and yes, I know everyone listening to this has YouTube. Everyone does. I know you do. We all watch YouTube videos. Go to youtube.com/crashpond, where you can like and subscribe to our videos, or like our videos, subscribe to our channels. If we get a little like spike, like this video if you're enjoying watching it, it does help out. Helps with the algorithm. Helps puts us in front of more people. All right. So we got this question from Daniel Lowry. Said, over under on Michigan goal Zegras scores when he comes back to Honda Center.
I love how Zegras is just dominating the discussion now. Oh, how awesome would that be? He's for sure going to try it. He's going to attempt one. I'll say over.
We didn't discuss. Go ahead.
If the over-under for Michigan attempts is 0.5, I'm going over.
So we didn't talk about McTavish's quote actually about Zegras and how much of like a bummer that was to hear him when he was asked about it and how like
He lost his best friend, basically.
yeah, like spent so much time. I think it's going to be entertaining to watch those two play against each other.
There's going to be a lot of cross-checking and spearing and whatnot.
Yeah, it's going to be them and then laughing at each other after it all.
Well, I'm sure they'll go out for drinks in Newport Beach after. So
Yeah. Plant Wrench said, how long does Gudas play with the Ducks?
I think I spy with my little eye
This season.
a final season for Radko Gudas.
Yep.
I
Also,
think
our
this
good
is
friend, Tony subbed to us with Prime, so thank you. 57 months. David
Hey.
Perron, number of months.
No, wrong. You should have said Yegor Sidorov, number of months.
David Perron, number of months.
Yegor Sidorov, who, by the way, I think has been sent down.
He has.
There were cuts. We didn't even talk about it, but
Yeah. Oscar Hernandez said, if Beckett Seneca makes the opening night, what line would you see him in? I mean, at this point, it would
Fourth
just
line.
be the fourth line.
I don't think he's getting into the top 9.
No.
Maybe the third line. Maybe. But even then, do you see a Killorn or a Vetrano on the fourth line? Like, that's really hard to imagine. Like, I think it's fourth line or bust.
Yeah.
And he may be busting.
Lucian LeChant said, can Leo learn to win some damn face-offs?
What was his percent last year? Like 40? I think it was 40.
I cannot tell you the last time I would have cared to look at a face-off percentage.
You know, how high and mighty of you. Well, for us regular
You haven't
folks,
either. You didn't know it either.
Actually, it's funny because the one that might be even more egregious that I don't keep track of is the power play and penalty kill percentage. Like, I remember when I was a kid, I would always know what my favorite team's power play percentage was. And now, like, I couldn't even tell you what's a good number. I think 20 is 20% still the line?
I could not tell you.
Yeah, like, I legit don't know. But I'll look up the face-off stats here while
I mean, Lucian, to your question, sure, if he could win face-offs, sure, that would probably be more beneficial. But
41% last season.
I care more about Leo developing as a player and play driving. I mean, the main reason is there's just so many face-offs. There are so many low-leverage face-offs that they just don't matter as much as they are given credit to. Sure, in certain situations, we've gone over this so many times, certain high-leverage situations, they matter. But in those situations, if Leo is not a good face-off guy, they're going to put out a guy that can take it and win it. So I'd rather Leo learn to be more of a dominant player than work on face-offs necessarily.
Guess who the Ducks' top three face-off percentage guys were last season?
Lundestrom.
I'm removing Washi from this because he only played 2 games.
Sure.
But Lundestrom is number 3. Guess his percent.
49%.
47.2.
Damn. Ryan Strome.
Ryan Strome is not on this top 3.
Mason McTavish.
That's your number 2. 50.7.
Damn. And then who would
You're
be
never
number
gonna
one?
You're never gonna get number 1. He didn't take that.
Cutter
He didn't take
Gauthier?
that many. He didn't take that many. He took like about 200.
Cutter Gauthier.
Jansen Harkins.
Oh,
53.4%.
is it bad? I already forgot about him.
He's out 8 weeks, by the way, 6 to 8.
Yeah.
We just haven't even said that on the podcast.
Plant Ranch said, "Is the Trooper trade worse purely from a roster perspective than the Zegras trade?"
No, because trading a 9th overall pick for scraps is always worse than whatever the Truba trade was.
Well, even from the pure roster perspective, you're trading a guy where and this is the big if Zegras becomes what he was previously, you've traded a 60-plus point guy for a fourth line center.
Yeah.
So let's see. Jake M said, not a question, but bummer to see news to see Silverberg and Zegras speak about culture after they leave. Yeah.
Wasn't there another guy too?
Labushkin talked about Cronin.
Yeah. Yeah, the whole Cronin thing was just such a disaster.
Yeah.
I mean, not that this is news to anyone.
No,
funny.
which people will say, well, that's Greg Cronin. I mean, Pat Verbeek hired him, made it a point to hire him.
Yeah. Yeah, the whole point of Cronin was, hey, he's going to come in and teach them how to play defense. It's like he taught them how to be the worst defensive team in the league. So good job. Good job, buddy.
Oscar
enjoy Iowa.
Oscar Hernandez said, "What is your fourth line with Beckett?" I mean, it's got to be Paling, Beckett, and then insert left wing here.
Nestorenko? Just not like not
Not
Johnston.
Ross Johnston.
Not Ross Johnston, not Washy. I'm fine with either Colangelo or Nestorenko on their off
Yeah.
wing.
Yep.
Well, Colangelo on his off wing, yeah.
Sean Fight said, "If Gudis or Trouba are healthy the whole season, do they play all the games? Do they get healthy scratched during the season?" No, they don't get healthy scratched.
Captains. When's the last time a captain in the NHL got healthy scratch? Sean Couturier by John Tortorella? Like, just doesn't happen.
Yeah. I don't know what your question is. He said who's going to the goal. Yeah, I'm not quite sure if you want to re-put it. Gamer Yuffie said, question, how do you feel about McTavish playing left wing if McQueen eventually becomes the 2C in the next few years? We talked about this early, but I think McTavish as your third line center in an ideal world is like perfect.
Yeah.
If McQueen becomes the 2C in the next few years.
I wouldn't mind it, though. I wouldn't mind him on the wing next to McQueen, for sure. But, yeah, I'd rather see him at center.
Lucian Lachance says, can we expect a Ross Johnston goal this season?
Guess how many he scored last season? You're
One?
Googling it.
No, I'm not.
Guess how many he scored last season? You're looking it up. That's
I'm not
cheating.
looking it up. 2.
1.
Damn it.
He had 4 points in 43 games.
Didn't I say 1 to start? And then you were like, oh, whatever.
I didn't say anything.
Okay. Let's see. Miguel Gutierrez said, which goals player will have the highest? Oh, we didn't even answer the question. Sure, he'll have 1 goal.
Wait, what guess how many career goals Ross Johnston has?
How many career games has he played?
No, just answer the question.
6?
11.
Damn.
Hey, 11 NHL goals is 11 more than I do, so I can't talk shit, but amusing.
Yeah. So here's the question from Miguel Gutierrez. Which goals player will have the highest point total?
Ooh, a little AHL fantasy hockey?
Tristan Luneau.
That's actually a good shout. I was going to go forward.
Thank you.
But yeah, it makes sense. The reigning highest point scorer would do it again. Do you think he plays the full season in San Diego?
That was the question, honestly, that was going through my head when naming him. Probably. I don't know.
Well, I mean, hell, if Trouba and Gudis aren't going anywhere, like, what's the path for him to come up? I think it has to be like an injury, or maybe Hellison struggles and they just send him down. How hilarious would it be if Hines is just sitting in the press box and Hellison struggles and they send him down and then they call up Luneau and Luneau just instantly plays while Hines is still in the press box.
Yeah.
He'll just sitting there eating popcorn with Eric Stevens and who else is there? Alex Gilchrist. There you go.
There you go.
Oh, gosh. What else do we got?
Let's see. Austin Price said, how much of the difference do you think the assistant coaches make this year? Where do you think the power play and penalty kill will rank league-wide at the end of the season?
Are we talking in terms of goals against and goals for?
We're talking about percentages. The thing that we said we don't pay attention to.
Well, I'm using my own method here.
Okay.
But for power play, I will say that they will have the. You know what? I'll go positive. I'll say they'll have the 18th best power play.
And what penalty kill?
Penalty kill? I don't even watch penalty kills, so it's really hard for me to say.
Oh yeah, you tried to make me the penalty kill guy.
I just don't watch them because they bore me to death. They're just so boring. I don't care. Like, score or don't. Let's just move on. I'll say they'll have. You know what? I'll say 14th best penalty kill. Top 15.
I'll just go. I'll go 15 for both.
They have guys who could be good penalty killers, and they have a great goalie. You know the old saying, your goalie's got to be your best penalty killer. Sound like Emerson Edom right now, but what have you? What have you?
Let's see. Plantward said, who will win the World Series?
Who's even in it?
I'm going to go with the Phillies.
I couldn't tell you anything about baseball this year, except the Giants suck.
Let's see. So currently the wild card rounds are Detroit, Cleveland. And then you've got
bracket.
Then you've got Boston, New York. Then you've got Chicago, San Diego. Then you've got LA, Cincinnati. And then the division winners that aren't in the wild card round are Seattle, Toronto, Milwaukee, Philly. You know what? I'm going to go out on a limb. I'm going to say Toronto wins.
Toronto.
Let
the whole thing?
It would be hilarious if the Blue Jays won again and the Leafs suck.
That would be hilarious. Do you want to know the odds per
Sure.
Fangraphs?
Sure.
I'll add to this conversation instead of just saying my useless opinion. Highest percent to win the World Series. This is updated as of today. Guess who it is in the American League?
In the American League, highest percentage to win?
Yeah,
Seattle?
correct. 20.3%. Pretty high. And then the
There you
next
go.
two are Blue Jays at 10%,
Okay.
and then Red Sox 6%.
Okay.
I think the National League a little more obvious. Dodgers and Phillies both at about 16%, and then the Brewers down at 7%. So by statistics, I'm going with the Mariners. Give me the Seattle Mariners. What a story that would be.
Also, do you want to?
Isn't this the first time they've won their division or something in 30 years or something like that?
Plant Wrench also asked, saying favorite parts of CRSSD. I still have no idea what this is.
Haven't you been to that like years ago?
What is this?
I think it's like a concert in San Diego or something.
What?
I think that's what it is. I refuse to Google it. I'd rather just not know. It's like it's like the 6-7 thing. I just would rather not know than know.
Yeah, it looks like it's a music festival.
I thought you had been to that like
No.
years ago. You went to
No.
something.
When?
I don't know. This was like when you lived in Long Beach, pre-child, pre everything.
Yeah, I mean, no.
There was a weekend where you went to something and I had to cover for you on the pod.
I mean, maybe. I went.
Am I
to,
just going
like,
insane? Like,
I
what is
think
going on here?
I think you're going insane. Because yeah, I mean, I went and saw like a concert in Long Beach by the Queen Mary once, like a little festival there, and I saw some concerts in Huntington Beach that K-Rock put on. I don't know.
Maybe I'm thinking of a different friend.
I think you're thinking of a different friend. I'm very confused. Now it makes more. Now at least I know what it is. I thought you were just making up.
I love how I got you to the
letters.
point. I love how I got you to the point though of wondering if you had actually been. That was the only goal of this, was like just planting the seeds of doubt.
Gaslighting me.
No, we need to stop using that term. Like, can we just like not everything is a gaslight. Not everything is a crash out. Not everything is mid. It's just like stop with these words. Bring back different words. Bring back words just generally.
Yeah.
We need to stop, please. I implore people.
Yep. All right. I think that's it for us tonight.
Who you guys wish Ducks go after FA next year?
I don't know yet.
Too much.
Yeah.
Not everything is unk. Not everything is unk. These fad words, just kill them off. Burn them.
6-7.
Burn. See, that's actually kind of funny because it's so stupid, and it's not a word. That's just like a saying. Different.
Oscar Hernandez, let's end with this. We have shit show questions actually we should get to. Last question. How many forwards do you think will be cut before opening night? We are 13 or 14 forwards right now. I think they're currently at they're at 15 right now, right? So my bet's 2 more forwards.
Yeah.
2 more forwards.
Do you think they go 14-7 or 13-8?
I think they go 13-7-3.
That would be so silly.
I think that's what they're gonna do.
Well, whatever.
Let's see. Dr. Plantward said, "What do you guys think of Albert Pujols as the next Angels manager? God damn, help us all."
I don't know if that would be good or bad.
I mean, to me, it's Artie Moreno just wanting to hire a guy that he's already paying $1 million to a year as an advisor.
Ooh, I like this next question.
Lisa said, "What do you guys think of the Warriors adding Al Horford and finally signing Jonathan Kuminga?"
Wow, good pronounce. Good
Thank
pronounce.
you. That was a complete guess.
Love it. The Warriors had a great offseason, and the entire offseason, maybe it's just like I don't see this doing a Ducks podcast, but like especially with Warriors, like it's just constant complaining about the team and the GM and this and that. Everything is wrong. Trade everybody, fire everybody, blah blah. It's like they got everything done. They signed everyone. They did what they had to do. The team is better. Like not everything has to mean fire someone or trade someone. And I know that we kind of do that on this podcast, but like I'm just saying, can we stop it? Can we stop with the hate? Spread love, not hate. I'm just losing it.
Yeah,
I'm crashing out. I'm crashing out.
Time
Right?
for us to.
Everything is a crash out.
Time for
Everything
Crash
is-
the Pond to crash out.
Crash out the pond. There you go. If we did creative podcast titles, that would be the title.
Yeah.
Anywho. All right. No more questions. Cutting it off. This was a fun one. Covered a lot of ground. I'm surprised we made it this far, to be quite
I'm
honest.
surprised I'm awake. I need to go to sleep after this.
You do. So if you enjoyed this show and you're excited for the upcoming season, there's a great way to show your support and to show your excitement. The number one way is to go and check out our Patreon page, where you can get access to more exclusive content just straight from us. Patreon.com/crashthepond. So for $2 a month, you get access to our patrons only Discord server, where you're essentially part of a group chat of diehard Ducks fans, where you get to connect with us at all times of day. We're always in there chatting about the Ducks, chatting about the latest with the team, the latest in the NHL. There's also a bunch of different kind of channels in there, so you can talk about different sports as well. And if nothing else, you're just supporting the show. But you can up that pledge to $7.50 a month, and with that, you get access to 2 bonus podcasts where we answer direct topics that you want us to discuss. We also do a little bit more of a look at the rest of the NHL there. And you also get access to exclusive prospect breakdown videos where I do videos watching different Ducks prospects and just kind of doing my commentary there. And again, this money is just, all of that is just helping us keep this thing going, and you get access to more content. That's at patreon.com/crashthepond. You can also leave us a rating and a review on Apple Podcasts. Those help a ton. Subscribe to us on Spotify. Leave us some feedback there. Say hello in the comments. Subscribe to us on YouTube, where we put up the video format of the show. Leave us a comment, like the show, and we'll make sure to respond to your comments. So know that we are reading the comments. So please do bring your best behavior, and we will engage with you. And also check us out on social media. We're both on Twitter. Check out Crash the Pond on there to keep up with when we go live and with when episodes go up. So with all that being said, thank you for listening, everyone, tonight, and whenever you're listening. This was a blast. Happy season. We'll talk to you soon.
Bye.